I feel like I've made my point already, that being that this game is incredible, but I haven't quite finished what I was saying yet. So, if you're here from part 1, thank you so much for coming back, and if you're new here, say hi, stick around, we're happy to have you. Let's talk Act 2.
My hands shall relish ending you here and now!
Act 2 is absolutely fantastic. I've been waiting for at least Act 2's release to make a video on this game, and as it was released relatively recently, here we go. You begin in the Greed Layer, a barren wasteland covered in sand and Egyptian architecture. The best I've got for this one, as far as symbolism, is that the layer is covered in random objects and structures, which is the most literal example of material greed I can think of. Greed's core mechanic revolves around sand. Seeing as you're in a massive desert, the sun scorches the sand, burning you to the touch if you stray from the platforms. The first 2 levels aren't anything crazy. You're introduced to a new enemy type that spreads sand onto enemies after a period of time, which I guess prevents them from creating blood when killed, which means no healing. At the end of Stage 2, you'll fight a mini-boss who isn't very hard, but he does have a shit ton of health. Stage 3 is good, but it's a bitch. If you're attentive enough, you'll catch some signs that maybe things aren't going too great for Gabriel. The fun part here is that the whole level is shrouded in darkness, so you get a torch at the beginning that you have to carry to light your path. It's really not that bad, but you might have trouble with some of the rooms. Stage 4 is mostly just making your way through the pyramid. You reach the boss gate, and sitting there waiting for you is none other than V2. The first phase is similar to your first fight with him, and I actually found it to be a little easier, probably because you have new weapons, and I just warmed up to the game at this point. After taking down his first health bar, V2 breaks the wall and jumps out, so you follow. His second phase consists of the two of you sliding down the pyramid while you blast each other. It's simple, but it's a really unique encounter. After doing this, you actually kill V2, for good. He drops another arm called Whiplash. This one is a grapple hook. I won't lie to you, I'm a slut for grapple hooks in games, like any game, and this one is absolutely no different. Whiplash completely changes the momentum of the game, with subsequent levels adding grapple points and slingshots to use. Also, with the arm, you can grapple smaller enemies to you and grapple straight to larger heavy enemies. So everything at this point, and remaining through Act 2, was completely new for me. Immediately following Greed, you're plunged into Wrath, a dark and stormy world with its core mechanics revolving around just that. In the first stage, you travel through underwater caverns to find 3 skulls that will lead you out of the stage. A new enemy type sprouts up, the Sentry, a sniper unit that can only be interrupted by a few attacks. After making your way out of the first stage, you find yourself on the surface of the vicious ocean. You jump between the protruding walkways to find several houses floating a ways out. Here you discover a new mechanic presented through idols, which can only be broken by melee and protect enemies from being killed or damaged whatsoever. In another book, you learn that this ocean was once the river Styx, the flowing river in Greek mythology which was said to transport souls to hell via the ferryman, Charon. I'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute. In the book, it also says that the ferryman accepted the help of Gabriel to try and contain the ocean Styx and the souls that follow with it. Later in the stage, an enormous boat will rise from the raging sea. Atop this boat, you'll find the Ferryman, a relatively simple fight consisting of the Ferryman dodging around the arena and smacking you with his oar. After finishing him, you'll head into the third stage, which takes place inside of the ship. This level is fantastic, the whole ship bringing an incredible atmosphere. Early on, you'll see a massive tentacle outside of the window. Later on, you'll get your hands on the rocket launcher, a brand new and extremely powerful weapons, especially for large groups. The ship will be tossed and turned, filling slowly with water. Upon leaving the level, it is assumed that the ship has sunk, as you are now at the bottom of the ocean. You follow a narrow path, dimly lit by mushrooms and lanterns. When you reach the end, you are launched out of the water, meeting Leviathan himself. This fight, I think, is very fun, but overall not extremely challenging, similar to the fight against King Minos' corpse. The Leviathan will launch projectiles, swing its tentacles, and relocate around the arena, forcing you to keep track of its location and movements at all times. Upon bombarding it with bullets, rockets, lasers, and everything else at your disposal, the Leviathan will fall to you. Now that's the stage covered, so we'll go over the symbolism and other significance here. So storms in general are symbolic of the wrath of God and divine punishment. There you go, Wrath explained. The ocean Styx, I think, is one of the most interesting parts of Wrath, the layer, not the word, I guess. Not because of what it means for the story, but solely because of the fate that it displays for humanity. The fact that humanity was completely wiped out in their war against the machines in such a tight time span that hell can't even harbor their souls is just insane. If anything, it just shows the scale and capacity of destruction that you're capable of.
Alright, for this portion of the video, I do apologize if I sound a little bit sick. My recording messed up for the Heresy segment, and so I'm having to re-record it now. So, yeah, sorry. Heresy is a little underwhelming, honestly. I could lie to you, but I admittedly was a little bit disappointed. It starts off great. The first stage, honestly, is incredible. You enter the closest depiction of a typical hell that you've seen so far, and you seem to be stranded in a castle forged by flesh and blood. Everywhere you look, there are bones accompanied by other horrifying elements. What's unique about this place so far is that rather than music, you hear a deep grinding moan or something in the background, so loud you can barely think. You travel deeper into the complex, the music fading as you reach a dark tunnel. You drop down a pit, and the music starts up. This level continues following the darker, more hellish thematic all the way to the end. Although the first level is great, I can't necessarily say the same for the second. Gabriel returns to fight you once more and reclaim his honor, but unfortunately I just don't think enough changes about this fight to really call it good. He again monologues until you reach his boss room, which is great, it's entertaining and it works with the story, but it just genuinely hurts me a little bit because I love everything else so much, but I just don't think Gabriel 2 is that engaging gameplay-wise, as he doesn't feel distinct enough from Gabe 1. Although I'm not a huge fan of the fight itself, I do like the story and character significance it has. It's obvious at this point that Gabriel is, well, losing it. He's finally giving in to his urges, which you can tell when he says his infamous line, "Come on, machine, fuck me like an animal." He's lost everything trying to prove that the machine is not better than him, but he just won't accept failure. Following his second defeat, Gabriel returns to heaven, slaughtering the Holy Council, the ones I mentioned in the last video who reign due to God's absence. He proceeds to show the Kingdom of Heaven the head of a council member. And just like that, Act 2 has reached its conclusion. So as it turns out, it is not just the Heresy recording that fucked up, so Sick Connor is going to be taking you through the secrets. In Greed 2, you can turn off the sun, preventing the sand from burning you. You do this by opening up a secret door and grabbing a pendant, then placing it on a pedestal on the roof. If you want to take it a step further, after turning off the sun, you can travel into the desert. Behind the Statue of Liberty, you'll find an enemy sitting with a sandcastle. Breaking the sand will cause him to go apeshit and kill everything on the level, including you. The entrance to Greed's secret mission is also out in the desert. Greed's secret level is a spoof on Crash Bandicoot, called Clash of the Brandicoot. You can unlock a cheat called Crash Mode, which puts you in third person and you have a one-shot spin attack. That's all there is to say about this level, really. It's just a good time. In Greed 3, you can reach an area called the Tomb of Kings, which houses a bunch of references to a bunch of creators that I honestly don't know who they are, but I think this one's Markiplier. If you take the head from one of the sarcophagi, placing it on the pedestal begins a unique boss fight that is a direct reference to and has voice acting from two of my favorite creators, Shammy and Mandalore Gaming.
Finally, our waiting puzzle is over. Full auto.
In Greed 4, you can open up a secret room which gives you an alternate version of the nail gun, the saw gun. In Wrath 2, there's an island with a reference to the movie The Lighthouse. Follow me on Letterboxd. Not really a secret, but if you look close enough, the texture for the Ocean of Styx is actually made up of all the bodies and souls journeying to hell. If you give the boss of Wrath 2 a coin, he allows you to pass so you can beat the level without fighting him. On top of the ship, there is a hamster, whose official name is Florp. If you take him to the top of the tower that you spawn inside, there's a thing that says its name is Hakita inside of a cage. He asks for a sacrifice, so you put Hamster down. Hakita kills him immediately, and he states that he will lay waste to this world and rises from the depths of the ocean. The screen shakes, fades to white, and your game crashes. Okay, so this is gonna sound absolutely batshit insane, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I just thought it would be fun if I came up with a little theory about the game. So, here's my idea, and it's gonna be a bit of a reach, just full disclosure, and you don't have to agree, you probably won't agree, you definitely won't agree, and it is really stupid. So, I think that V1 possibly is the reincarnation of God, or just straight up God, because God in this universe has apparently mysteriously disappeared, right? What a coincidence, that's crazy. Given that the disappearance of God is barely even touched on, it should be a pretty significant event, no? So I believe that the dev has pushed that no machine should beat God's power bullshit to a degree that can't be a coincidence. I'm not religious, I'll admit that to you, but in my very small amount of research I did for this video, I learned that the Leviathan in some iterations is symbolic of extreme evil, essentially as an example to show God's power. I'm gonna roll with that and say that due to V1's destruction of the Leviathan and being able to strike down Gabriel, that he actually is God. My final reasoning is that V1 is some sort of divine punishment because of humanity's arrogance in trying to make living machines, then attempting to enslave them. Or maybe he's just a robot with a lot of guns. I know I say this every time, but I really do encourage you guys to play this game. If not for the lore or story, then the gameplay at least, because it's incredible, honestly. This game is absolutely bleeding with style, no pun intended. On the bright side, even if you have already watched both of these videos, the game is still waiting on the whole third act, so you might as well just catch yourself up before that comes out, and then when it does come out, you've got some new content. Bottom line is, play it. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. In case you forgot, you should subscribe, like, and share, because I would really appreciate it. So thank you, and I will see you all in the next one.